Okay, so this is part 2 of Adobe Illustrator lesson. So I'm going to discuss how you work on artboard in Illustrator. So how we're going to add artboard and rearrange artboards, and how we're going to change the settings of the artboard. At the same time, also I'm going to discuss the different tools like line tool, and also how to use the pen tool and what are the shortcuts and technique in using the pen tool. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so let's start with the artboard. So every time you create drawing or vector drawing in Illustrator, so you are placing the drawing inside an artboard. So this is your artboard or your workspace. So you always start with if you're going to create a new file, so you are starting with one artboard. So what if you wanted to design something and you will be requiring multiple sheet of paper? So or you're going to place the design on multiple sheets of paper. So you can create multiple artboards in Illustrator. So we have on the right side, on the lower right side, we have the layers panel here, and we also have the artboards. Okay, so this is the artboard panel. So we only have one artboard on Illustrator. So if we wanted to add, you can always click the new artboard. Okay, so another one, the 4. Okay, so we have 4 artboard on our Illustrator. So we can always rearrange this one. So according to the orientation, so we have artboard 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what if you wanted to interchange position of the artboard? So that's I'm going to put label just to identify the artboard number. Okay, so this is artboard 1. This is artboard 2, 3, and 4. So the arrangement of the artboard on the artboards panel is artboard 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what if you wanted to interchange artboard 4 and 2? So what we're going to do is we're going to click the artboard and move it to the position that you want. So let's say for artboard 4, just click, then move it upwards. Okay? So the position will now be 1, 4, 2, 3. Okay? But as you can see on your workspace, the orientation is still the same. It is still 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for the changes made on the artboard panel, so all you have to do is click on the menu, the artboard menu here, or the drop down here. So again, this is the artboard panel. On the right side, we have the menu. Then we have rearrange artboard. Okay, so again, artboard, click this one, click this icon, then rearrange artboard. Okay, so just take the rearrange artboard. Okay, so once you click the rearrange artboard, so you have an option to change the column. So let's say let's make the column 2 or 2 columns, and the spacing, so the given spacing is 20 point. So let's say for example if we wanted to reduce the spacing into 0 point, then click OK. Okay, So that's how it looks like when we rearrange the artboard. Okay, so we already rearranged the artboard according to the position of the artboards on the artboard panel. Okay, so you can change the property of the artboard by clicking on the artboard tool, or you can click Shift O. So double click the artboard tool. Again, we have the artboard tool here. Double click. Okay, so these are the properties of your artboard. So we have the orientation, the portrait landscape, and the width and the height. You can change that one. If you're done, just click OK. Okay, so that's how you change the properties of the artboard. Okay, so next we're going to use we're going to do line tool. Let's create a new file. Okay, so next is we're going to use the line segment tool. So we're going to create a line, and we're going to change the properties of that line using the stroke panel and also the toolbar. Okay, so let's create a straight line. Okay, so we can change the stroke color. Let's make it dark blue. Then we can change the stroke size. Let's increase the value of the stroke size. Okay, so we also have the variable width profile. So you can change how the shape of the line looks like. Okay, we can also change the brush definition. Okay, so there are other options here. Okay, at the same time, on the brush definition, so you have the brush libraries menu. So these are other options. Let's say arrow special. Okay, let's go back again to the brush libraries menu. So let's say we're going to use bristle brush. Okay, let's use other brush library. Let's say artistic paintbrush. Okay, so those are the brush libraries menu. Okay, let's do another line again. Let's thicken the stroke. Okay, so on the stroke panel, so this is the stroke panel. So we can change it into dash line. Okay, we can have different values here. Let's say 5. Just to change the interval of the dash line. At the same time also, you can add arrowheads. So let's say this one. I'm going to select the arrowhead here. Okay, we can reduce the size of the arrowhead by changing the value of the scale. Let's reduce this one. Okay, so we can add another arrowhead, then reduce the scale. Okay, so those are the settings that you can use using a line. So you can use the toolbar here, or you can use the stroke panel here. Okay, so let's go next to the grouping of vectors. Let's create a new file. Okay, so next is we're going to group vector shapes. So let's say, for example, if you have multiple shapes here, if we have, let's increase the thickness. Okay, so let's have an ellipse. Okay, so let's add another one. Let's say a polygon. Okay, so we have three shapes here. So we have the square, circle, and the polygon. So these are individual shape, vector shape. So what if you wanted to make it as one? So sometimes there are instances that we need uh, to move everything or modify everything. So instead of selecting it all, so we can group the objects or the vector shapes just by right clicking or right click on your mouse, then go to group. Okay, so now the shapes are already grouped into one. So let's say we're going to select this one and move, so everything will be moved, okay, because they are already grouped. And at the same time also, if you wanted to change the color, let's make it brown, okay, everything will change. So instead of selecting each and every shape and change the color, so you can group the different shapes and modify it. Okay, so you can also ungroup the objects. So all you have to do is just right click, then ungroup. So this time the shapes are already separated. Okay, so we can always group, select everything using the selection tool, right click, then group. Okay, to ungroup, right click and ungroup. Okay, let's group it again. Okay, so next is we're going to use the Pathfinder. So just go to Window, then look for the Pathfinder or Shift Control F9. Okay, again, go to Window, Pathfinder. Okay, these are the Pathfinder tool. Okay, so let's select this one, all of the shapes. So let's start with the first button here. So we have the Unite. So what happens is that when we click the Unite button on the Pathfinder, so what will happen is that it will unite all the shapes, all the vector shape into one. Okay, so let's undo, Control Z. That's the Unite. So we have also the minus front. Okay, so remember that when you are creating a drawing in Illustrator or in your artboard, so there are shapes that is in front of other shapes. Okay, in this case, the polygon is in front of the circle and the square. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to minus or deduct the front. So if I'm going to click this one, okay, so what will happen is that the remaining shape will be the shape below it minus the shape in front of it. Okay, so that is the purpose of the minus front. Okay, so again, it subtract the polygon and the circle because that is in front of the square, and what remains here is this portion of the square. Okay, let's undo. So we have also the intersect. So if I'm going to click the intersect, this is what will happen. Okay? So, what will happen here is that it will look for the intersection of the selected shapes. So, we have three shapes here, and the selection is this portion. Okay, this is the only portion which is an intersection of all of the shapes here. Okay? So, you have the intersect button. It will just retain the portion where all of the shapes intersects. Okay? So that is the intersect button. So we have the exclude. If you're going to click exclude, okay? So basically, what will happen with the exclude is that it will remove the portion which is an intersection of the shape. Okay? So these are the intersection of the shape. So this is the portion being excluded. Okay? So that is the purpose of the pathfinder. Okay? So next is we're going to use the shape builder. Let's duplicate this one. Okay? You can duplicate the shape by pressing and holding the Alt key. Then click and drag. Okay, so just like in Photoshop, you can duplicate objects or shapes using the by pressing and holding the Alt key, then click and drag. Okay, so next we're going to use the shape builder. So this is the shape builder tool. So this allows manual selection of the shape that you wanted to combine. So let's say, for example, we have the square, polygon, and the circle, and we have intersections of the shape. Okay? So we can combine shapes using the shape builder. So all you have to do is select the shapes. So in this case, we're going to select the entire three shapes. Then click on the shape builder. Then click on a portion inside a particular shape going to the other shape. Okay, as you can see, this portion wherein that you draw a line has been combined. Again, let's undo. Select the three shapes. Use the shape builder. Then click and draw a line or click and drag from one shape to another. Okay, so you combine both of the shapes here. Okay, you can use the shape builder again. So let's say this portion, from this portion going to the circle. Okay. Okay, so that is the purpose of the shape builder. So it gives you the flexibility to choose the portion of the intersection of shapes. Okay, for you to be able to create a single shape. Okay, so sometimes or most of the time when you are creating a vector drawing, so sometimes you have to start with basic shapes and combine those one to produce another shape. Okay, so that is the purpose of the shape builder. Okay, so let's do again. So let's use the shape builder again and combine this one. Okay, so we already have a different shape. So aside from changing the color, okay, you can also use the gradient tool here, or we have the gradient panel. So let's say we're going to apply linear gradient. Okay, let's change the color. Let's add. Okay, so we can change the angle. Okay, so that is the purpose of the gradient panel here. So you can use the linear, you can use the radial, okay, and change the values here. Okay, we have the opacity of the gradient, in location. Okay, So that is the gradient panel. Okay, so next I'm going to discuss the pen tool. So what are the shortcuts for the pen tool, and how are you going to use the pen tool to create drawing? So let's create a new file again. Okay, so next we're going to use the pen tool. So let's make the artboard in landscape. Okay, so this is our artboard. So let's start first uh, by clicking on the pen tool. So you can press P. So always remember the shortcuts. You have the P. You have the plus sign. You have the minus sign and the shift plus C. Okay, so these are the four shortcuts. So just remember the P, plus, minus, and shift C. Okay. So the the P shortcut stands for pen tool. Okay, so this is to select the pen tool. So if you wanted to draw, so you can just click P. The plus sign is used to add anchor point. Add anchor point. Okay, we have also the minus is to subtract anchor point. And the shift C is used to convert anchor points. Okay, so let's start by pressing P. Pressing P, or just click the pen tool. Okay, so always remember that when using pen tool, we have to start with the first anchor point. Okay, this is the first anchor point. Then if you're just going to click, you create the second anchor point. Okay, so next is, if you're going to click and drag, click, then drag, you create a curve. Okay, so now you can use the selection tool. So remember, the selection tool or the shortcut for the selection tool is V. You select the entire vector drawing. Okay, so you can change, let's say for example, let's change the fill color to none, and the stroke color to black. Then increase the stroke color. Okay, so again, the selection tool allows you to select the vector drawing or vector shape as a whole. Okay? The direct selection tool allows you to select the anchor points on the vector drawing. So in this case, we have anchor point here. So you can click, then pull to change the shape. Okay? Let's move this one outside. Let's move it this one on top. Okay. So let's use the pen tool again. Okay, take the first anchor point, take the second anchor point. So we have the first and the second anchor point. What if you wanted to bend this line and you wanted to add corner here? Okay, so you cannot pull this one because it does not have anchor point. Okay, so again, it does not have anchor point. Unlike with the first point and the second point, those are anchor points. You can click and move. Okay? So if you wanted to bend the line and if you wanted to add corner, so we need to add anchor point, let's say on the middle. So what we're going to do is you're going to press plus. But that is add anchor point. As you can see that on the toolbar, the pen tool changes to add anchor point tool. Or you can select the add anchor point tool. Then click on the line. Let's say on the center of the line. So let's say I wanted to move this. We're going to use the direct selection tool. Again, the direct selection tool is used to select and move anchor point. So take the direct selection tool. Then click on the anchor point at the middle. And move it upward. Okay? So you created another anchor point and you can now move that anchor point using the direct selection tool. So let's say let's add again. So let's say let's add an anchor point. Press plus sign. Okay. Use the direct selection tool or press A. You can move the anchor points here. Okay. So next is, as you can see, the anchor points that we added on the line are straight lines or have edges or corners. Okay? So what if you wanted to convert those corners into curves? So what we're going to do is we're going to convert using the Shift C, Shift then C. Okay, as you can see, the toolbar, the tool changes to convert anchor point tool. Okay, so let's say for example we're going to convert this point or this edge using the Shift C. All you have to do is just click on the anchor point, then move. Okay, so you converted the corner or the edge into a curve using the Shift C or convert anchor point. Or to convert anchor point. Okay? So you can reciprocate also the anchor point. So from curve, we're going to convert it into edge again or corner. So press Shift C. Okay? So click on the anchor point of this curve. Just click. It will turn again into corner or edge. Okay? So let's do again. Convert this one into curve. Shift C. Let's convert this point. Click and drag. The other one is click and drag. Okay? So let's say convert this one again. Shift. Okay, let's convert this one again. So click and drag. Okay, so that's how you convert uh, edge or corner into curve. So using the Shift C, so you can reciprocate the process. Shift C, then click on the anchor point. So the curve turns into edge again or corner. Okay, so Shift C again, change it to curve. Okay, so by the way, if you are using a pen tool and you create a curve, so always remember that the anchor point of that particular curve do have the left and right handle. So if you're going to use the direct selection tool, so you can pull the right or left handle, but as you can see, the right and left handle, when you move the right handle, the left handle also moves. Okay, so if you want that the right handle will only the portion that will move, so you can press and hold Alt, then click on the right handle. So as you can see, the left handle does not move, and it does not have connection with the right handle anymore. Okay, so you can do the same thing here. Just click. This is also isolated from the right handle. Okay, so do the same thing with this anchor point. Just click. Again, if you're going to move the right handle, the left handle also moves. If you wanted to retain the position of the left handle, just press and hold Alt, then move the right handle, then the left handle is already isolated with the right handle. Same as well as this one. Press and hold Alt, then move the handle and change the shape. Okay? Okay, always remember that you can use the selection tool using the shortcut V. Okay, so this is a selection tool, so the shortcut is V. So you can select the entire shape. Okay, so that is the purpose of the selection tool, to select the entire shape. And the direct selection tool is for you to select anchor points. Okay, to move the anchor points for you to be able to create the desired shape. Okay, so we can also apply the same thing as what we did in on lines, on the line tool. So we can pick this one, we can change the color. Let's say let's make it red. Let's increase the stroke size. Okay, we can also apply the width profile or the variable width profile. Okay, we can also apply the brush definition. Okay. Okay, so you can also subtract anchor point or remove an anchor point. So let's say, for example, this line, so it has multiple anchor points on it. So you just press minus. Okay, so the tool changes to delete anchor point. So you can delete an anchor point. Okay, just click on the anchor point that you wanted to delete. Okay, so it turns into a straight line because all of the anchor points or some of the anchor points has already been removed. Okay, so again, let's try this one. Let's try another one. So use the pen tool. Okay, so you have a straight line here. So the first anchor point and the second anchor point. We're going to add. We're going to move using the direct selection tool. Okay, we're going to subtract. Okay, so that's the subtract anchor point. Okay, so that's how you work on using the pen tool. Okay, so that will be for the part 2 of Adobe Illustrator lesson. So that's how you work with the artboard, with shapes uh, and pen tool, and the technique in using pen tool.